My name is Dr. Pegoti Mutai. I was born and raised in Kericho County. I am a lecturer at the University of Nairobi, School of Pharmacy, where I teach pharmacognosy. Pharmacognosy is the study of drugs obtained from natural sources such as plants, animals, and microorganisms. I trained at the University of Nairobi for my bachelor's and master's degree and at the University of Cape Town, South Africa for my PhD. I am married to Raymond Keme and a mother to 2 lovely boys. In 2012, while I was doing my PhD, I had a rare opportunity. I was awarded the UNESCO L'Oreal Fellowship for Young Women in Science. I must say it was a life-changing experience. The award ceremony took place in France, and I got a chance to interact with scientists from all over the world. I learned important lessons, especially from the women scientists from developed countries like America and Britain. They too have their challenges. Sometimes we think that we struggle in the sciences because we are in a developing country that may not have many resources for sciences, but my UNESCO L'Oreal experience taught me that every setting has challenges, and it is all about overcoming your specific challenge and not running away from it. That is a brief story about me. Today, I would like us to discuss some chemistry and biology. You may have heard people say they have some chemistry between them. What does this exactly mean? Why don't we say they have some geography between them or biology? It must have something to do with chemistry. Is it the same chemistry that we learn in school? The phrase is used for people who get along well, so we say they have a strong bond. Bonding is an important aspect of chemistry, and when you study chemistry, you learn the many types of bonds. The way we bond better with some people and not others is just the same way that atoms in chemistry form bonds, some of which are weak and can easily be broken, while others are very strong and permanent. We all know carbohydrates. I am sure that when you learned about a balanced diet in primary school, you were told what carbohydrates are and the food sources of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates have chemistry too. I will use carbohydrates to discuss the opportunities that open up when we take chemistry seriously. The carbohydrate that I will use today as an example is starch. What is starch? I know each of us can give examples of starch. Maize, potatoes, rice, wheat, the list is endless. In chemistry, we study the structure of starch. Starch is a big molecule composed of many glucose units that are bonded or connected in a certain manner. If you take the same number of glucose units and connect them in a different manner, then you get another big molecule that is called cellulose. Starch and cellulose are both composed of the same glucose units, and yet their properties are so different because of the way they are bonded. Where do we encounter starch? Are there careers where chemistry of starch is relevant? I will give just a few examples. Food science and technology, food and nutrition, chemical analysis, health sciences, and so on and so forth. All these careers are widely practiced in Kenya. For chemical analysis, you may remember that a while back there were news reports of peanut butter and maize flour being contaminated with aflatoxins. Who tested these samples to determine the presence of aflatoxins? It was analysts in the government, chemists, and Kenya Bureau of Standards who must have studied chemistry in secondary school and built on it at a higher level, such as a degree or a diploma. These are just examples where I have picked a common thing, starch, to explain the importance of chemistry. By now you may be wondering, what I am discussing doesn't sound like the chemistry that is taught in your school. Well, in primary and secondary school, you lay the foundation by learning the basic principles. If you're in Form 4, perhaps you have learned about alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, the empirical formula of starch, and so on. If you're in Form 1, you may also have learned about the structure of an atom and the periodic table so that you understand how carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen bond in a carbohydrate such as starch. Biology, on the other hand, is often referred to as the science of life. I will still use my example of starch. If you're listening to this program and you're in primary school, when I mention carbohydrates in biology, you may remember photosynthesis. Is knowledge on photosynthesis important in your future career? Yes, it is. If you wish to be an agronomist, an environmental chemist, a botanist, then photosynthesis is very important because that is how plants convert light energy to sugar and oxygen. If you're listening to this and you're in Form 4, then perhaps when you hear carbohydrates, you may think of their effect on the body systems, such as the endocrine system. Is the effect on the endocrine system important to any future career? The answer is yes. Any professional in health sciences must learn about the endocrine system. And which are these health sciences? By health sciences, I mean medicine, pharmacy, dental surgery, and nursing as the umbrella courses. Biology is an important foundation in any health science course. And to get admission into any of these courses, you need to do well in biology, chemistry, maths or physics, and English or Kiswahili. Microbiology, which also falls under the health sciences, is the study of microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, and viruses, and requires a strong foundation in biology. There could never have been a better time to discuss microbes than now during the COVID-19 pandemic. Who ever thought that a very tiny organism, one that we cannot see with our naked eyes, can actually make the whole world come to a stop? That airports would stop passenger flights, schools would close, and everyone would walk around in a mask? During this time, we are all consulting virologists to give us guidance on the structure and behavior of this coronavirus and what we need to do about it. You cannot be a virologist if you did not study biology. You may say that your passion has never been to work with human health or microorganisms, but you love animals. Well, I have good news for you. Biology is also for you. To pursue a career in veterinary medicine, zoology, or animal physiology, you will definitely need biology. You may also want to go into the field of entomology, where you study insects. Many people had never considered the importance of studying insects until recently when we experienced the locust invasion. This brought to the limelight entomologists and other scientists who had to put their heads together and find a solution for this disaster that destroyed our food and threatened the country's food security. Biology, just like chemistry, is also relevant in the food science and technology or nutrition that I mentioned earlier on, as you will need to know the effects of various foods on the body. You will all remember Eliud Kipchoge, the Kenyan athlete who was in the world news as being the first human to run a marathon in less than 2 hours. He had a very powerful team supporting him. The team included nutritionists who would determine what he ate and how much of it he ate. And perhaps at this point, I should also mention that you can pursue a career in sports by studying the Bachelor of Science, Health Promotion and Sports Science, or BSc, Exercise and Sports Science, both of which will require you to have studied biology. If you want to go into biotechnology, you need to understand biology. Do we have any biotechnology in our country? Yes, we do. You may have seen a number of trees nowadays take a lot shorter to grow, yield more fruit, and are resistant to diseases. I remember when we were growing up, fruit trees such as avocado and mango trees were very tall trees. You either had to climb the tree or find very innovative ways like a long stick that had a hook on it to harvest the fruits. I cannot recall the number of times my siblings and I fell down from avocado trees. Nowadays, we have trees that are short, yet yield high fruit and mature very quickly. Those are all effects of biotechnology, a very interesting course to pursue. Pharmacy also utilizes biotechnology to a very large extent. Many drugs are obtained through biotechnological routes. Around this time of COVID-19, many companies are working day and night to find a vaccine. For mass production of this vaccine, we may need to explore biotechnology. I think I've said so much on why biology and chemistry are important. Why do many students shy away from sciences? It is the perception that sciences are hard. The truth about sciences is that they require time and concentration. Choose a time when you are most alert and an environment where you can have maximum concentration. Take time to read and understand the principle, then try to apply it. Try to visualize some of the concepts. If possible, try to discuss what you have learned with your classmates. You may ask, How is that possible during this COVID season of social distancing? If you live in a village, you can sit under a tree with 3 of your friends, ensuring that you observe social distancing and all other necessary precautions. If you have access to WhatsApp, then use it as a discussion platform. When you discuss something with your peers, it increases your retention of a concept. And if there is something you struggled with, you may find that your friend understood it better and can help you to understand it. With these tips, sciences become manageable and eventually they may appear easy. But for these tips to make any sense to you, you must have the right attitude. What you tell yourself about science is very important. If you tell yourself that it is impossible, then it surely will be. Believe that you can do it. Let us go back to the example that we used earlier on about Eliud Kipchoge. During the INEOS 1.59 challenge, his slogan was, "No human is limited." And with that mindset and proper preparation, he made it to run the marathon in less than 2 hours. It won't be a wonder to see other athletes run a marathon in less than 2 hours because Kipchoge has proven to them that it is indeed possible. In my career as a university lecturer, I have seen many students whose performance changed significantly when they changed their attitudes towards a certain subject. In addition to attitude, have an inquisitive mind. Science is with you every day. You just need to look around your environment and you will see science. Right from the time you wake up and wash your face, there is a scientific concept. You use water and soap. The chemical formula of water is H2O, meaning it has 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 of oxygen. What types of bonds exist between the hydrogen and oxygen? Supposing we had 2 atoms of hydrogen and 2 atoms of oxygen, what would we form? Would the properties be different from those of water? Soap, on the other hand, is composed of an alkali and fats. Later in life, you may want to study cosmetology to know and study more about soap. For example, how would you modify the soap for somebody with very dry skin or somebody with acne? All this will be building up on the very basic principles of chemistry that you're learning right now in high school. Specifically to the girls, I would like to say this. Women are natural scientists. I know many girls shy away from science because they think it is just too hard. As a woman in science, I can confirm that this is not true. You just need to go to the village and observe the practices of the women there, and you will realize how much science they practice without their knowledge. I remember visiting my grandmother as a young girl, and she would serve tea and pour mine into a jug to cool, while the adults had theirs served directly into their cups. Was this scientific? Yes, it was. The surface area of the jug is larger than that of the cup, so evaporation will be faster in the jug than in the cup. She may not have known that she was practicing science, but she was. On a few occasions, we would have some Safarians visitors in the house. Now, if you have ever experienced an army of Safarians, then you will agree with me. It is not a pleasant experience. When we would start jumping up and down and screaming in the house, she would send us to the farm to bring a specific plant, marigold, and use it to sweep the house. It would do magic, and we'd soon have our peace and continue in our storytelling. How did she know that you needed to pick marigold and not a maize plant or the ornamental Nandi flame tree that was closer to the house? Did she have scientific knowledge to know that marigold contains volatile oils that are used to make insect repellents? Had she done binomial nomenclature to know the scientific name of marigold and read on it? The answer is no. She probably learned the skill from someone else, or she just experimented and found a solution. That just tells you that science is everywhere, whether you're in the urban or the rural areas. In closing, I would like to encourage us to use this COVID season to discover the science around us. Science is about curiosity, seeing the things around us and wondering why they behave the way they do and what we can do to explore nature. Who knows, in your curiosity, you may make one of the greatest discoveries of our times and one day win a Nobel Prize for it. I wish you well and thank you very much for listening.